Hello there. Welcome on in, everybody. It is the Warchant Report powered by Cummins. I'm Aslan Hunjavandy, joined by Director of Original Content, Tom Lang, also the executive producer of the Jeff Cameron Show, wildly popular radio host, mildly popular podcast host, senior writer, Corey Clark. Wake Up Warchant's the mildly popular part of that. His writing is fantastic. You can check it all out over at warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. We are powered by Cummins. Go to shop.cummins.com. Use that promo code tailgate. Told an anecdotal story last week, Corey. Your dude who throws the most epic tailgate parties at his RV, he's got a Cummins engine in that bad boy, and he has a Cummins Onan generator. Word got back to the folks over at Cummins, and they decided to let that tailgate promo code now apply to generator maintenance kits. So not only now can you save on portable generators, portable power stations, an RV generator, also the maintenance kit. But you're not going to probably need it all that often because these things are built to last and they're fantastic. Check them out, shop.cummins.com. Promo code is tailgate, TAILG8. You can affirm that the tailgate is awesome, right, Corey? Not just because he's your friend.
Yeah, Keith does not screw around. It's next level. It is unbelievable, actually. So I would that's great news. That's great news. Cummins just doing the Lord's work is what they're doing.
I know his name is Keith. I just didn't want to say his name out there for everybody to know, but now we all know. So you guys can.
Well, I'll give his social security number if you have a second.
No, we'll get to the show. But real quick,
okay, sorry.
Easy. Tom, what's going on with the pregame show with you and Jeff on Saturday?
2:30. Roadies we go 60 minutes before kickoff. We take it right up to kickoff, and we might be joined by a friend or two in the post, or I should say the press box before the game starts. That's what happened last week. Ira was down on Snuggy Hill for the pregame hit, which was pretty cool because there was a lot of garnet in the stands. Hopefully that's the case again this weekend up at Pitt. But yes, 2:30 start time.
All right. Well, that sounds like we're probably getting to the stadium at 10 o'clock in the morning then, Corey, if I'm with Ira, right? If he's going to be doing pregame hits and all that. So
good luck, Aslan.
That'll be fun. Number 4, Florida State unanimously, coaches, AP, and most importantly, the college football playoff poll, taking on Pitt in Pitt, 3:30 kickoff. It's going to be one of those ones that you just want to survive in advance, I guess. We went into this one, Corey, probably preseason, looking at the schedule. You saw LSU, you saw Clemson. You always show respect to your rivals, Florida and Miami. But this was like that tricky game that everybody was like, oh, this could be the trap game before Miami. A little bit nervous, November weather. Weather's not going to be a problem. How much of this game maybe not being as sneaky as we anticipated? I know it's a little bit of both, Corey, but is it more because Florida State has been playing so efficiently and effectively, or is it because of the struggles of Pitt this season?
Well, it's definitely the latter. I think in August, I probably thought Florida State would be 7-1 now. And I still thought this would be a really tough game. 7-1, 8-0. Pitt, it's just Pitt's been a decent team for a good long while. And they pulled off upsets at home. They already got one this year over Louisville. It's Louisville's only loss of the season. But I just thought back in August, you're like, okay, Pitt's going to be physical. They're going to have a really good run game. They're always attacking on defense. And that's going to be a tough win in November. You don't know what the weather's going to be like. Well, here's what we know now. Pitt's coming off a 58-7 loss. They have a quarterback making, I think, his third start in his career. He's coming off a 4-interception performance where they just lost by 51 points. Their offense is one of the lowest scoring offenses in the United States. They are not a good football team. Pitt is usually a good football team. They're not a good football team this year, but as we saw just a few weeks ago, they were still good enough to beat Louisville. So crazy things still happen. But yeah, I think it's all because Pitt is not anywhere close. Florida State's close to what I thought Florida State would be when the season started. Pitt's nowhere close to what I thought they would be when the season started.
What about you, Tom? If any reason for recalibrating expectations going to this game, has it been because of Florida State's 8 wins and the way they've looked, or has it been Pitt's up and down season, I guess, let's say diplomatically?
Yeah, they're on damage control pressers this week, too, after Narduzzi's comments on Saturday. So you got that going for you on top of struggles from a personnel standpoint, is that your head coach told the world he doesn't believe in you, and then he had to do damage control in the days that followed. I had Florida State losing their first game of the season here. Like this, I had them just, falling asleep at the wheel and Pitt being the team to rise up and offer them that challenge. Of course, I'm going to walk back because it all started with Pitt's offensive line failures. Through 4 or 5 weeks of the season, Sports Info Solutions had put pressure rates out there, and it was nearly 50% of the time that Pitt was allowing a quarterback pressure, which is just nuts. And that would be blitz, 4-man rush, you name it. The offensive line was porous. I think that's what short-circuited what they're doing this year. But from Florida State's standpoint, if there is any recalibration, it would be the pass defense. I understand they're not playing world beaters the last 3-4 weeks of the season in terms of offensive ability and aerial assault coming at Florida State. But what they've done in the month of October to reduce touchdowns, of course, completion percentage, efficiency, all that kind of stuff, what they've done to reduce what the opposition can do to them in the air, I did not see that coming. So that's been an impressive part about this chapter of what Florida State's done this season.
Success is going to be obviously kind of just a win, right, Corey? I don't know if it's survive in advance, but you want to maybe win with a little bit of style, get maybe some more assertiveness on your offense and continue what you did against Wake Forest. But what they did against Wake Forest, what do you want to see carry in to Saturday's game against Pitt the most? Would you want to see Jared Verse continue kind of his tear, I guess we could say, after those 2 TFLs? Or do you want to see one of these other wide receivers? We saw Kentron make some plays. The referees, unfortunately, had to throw a wet blanket on some of that stuff. But would you rather see Florida State come out of this victory, we would hope, against Pitt with Jared Verse maybe hitting a stride, or one of these other receivers not named Keon or Johnny showing what they can do for this offense?
Well, look, I want the defense to play solid, not solid, very good in the first half. I don't want, I've said this before during the course of this season. This kid is looking for a reason to melt down. He's coming off the worst performance of his career, the worst performance he'll probably ever have. 4 picks is a lot in a game, and they lost 58-7. Don't give him anything to feel good about. Don't give him any layups. Don't give him any wide open 11-yard, 15, 20-yard throws. Just be on point, because if you're on point in the secondary, which they have been for like Tom said, the better part of a month and a half now, your defensive rush will get to him, and he's going to get flustered. He'll make some mistakes. You have a chance to turn a 10-point win into a rout if your defense plays like it should. And that's what I want to see, because conversely, the offense does what the offense does. I just trust the offense. It doesn't matter if they're at home, on the road, good defense, bad defense. They score points. So I just want to see the defense play like it's been playing and not even give this team any hope. They're a 22-point underdog for a reason. Go out and do what you did to Wake. You got up 10-0 on Wake. That was a nice change of pace from getting down 10-3 to Boston College and 10-0 to Clemson on the road. Get up early, and then and that goes with the defense. Defense, just don't give up anything easy. Play well, play solid. This is a horrible offense, and if you play like you should and don't give them any hope, you could run away with this thing.
Tom, so much of Pitt's troubles on offense is that offensive line has been reconfigured. Do you want to see your Lombardi nominee, Jared Verse, kind of lay the lumber to Pitt, or do you want to see a third receiver that's not Keon or Johnny emerge, that's not necessarily a slot receiver?
Well, I think the defensive line is going to be able to eat on Saturday. You can keep away from one player on the D-line by getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly or offering extra attention their way. I think that's the source of a lot of frustration, if people have it in the fan base for Florida State, about Jared Verse's lack of production. I think offensive coordinators know, let's not let this guy beat us. So with that in mind, and with Pitt's offensive line being weak, generally speaking, I'd rather see another weapon in the passing game. I'd rather have more of the embarrassment of riches for Florida State offensively if receiver play can get better, because Kentron did have his moments last week, but then you saw a couple of plays with Kentron and Darian Williamson where they weren't quite in sync. And if you're going to have the opportunity to get some more reps in the slot this week, and we'll see if that's the case or not, depending upon Florida State's injury situation. But if you can get that chemistry built up with Jordan Travis to a place where when you do play Miami in a week, or if you get to the ACC championship just a month from now, and there's a moment where you need to make a play, it's beyond those top 4 targets, 2 wide receivers and 2 tight ends, that maybe somebody else can step up. So for me, cultivating more options down the stretch offensively is the thing I'd like to see the most.
Pitt hasn't been spectacular, but they've been a bit of a model of consistency in this conference. That has not been the case this season. We'll talk about why and what that can mean for Florida State. We'll look deeper into this matchup coming up right after this on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Hit the road and follow the Noles during their sensational start in your RV or motorhome, powered by Cummins, a global power leader. The Onan QG 5500 generator is a perfect fit for your fifth wheel or Class A motorhome. It's powerful enough to run not 1 but 2 air conditioners with power to spare, and with its exceptionally low level of vibration, the QG 5500 has earned the title of quietest in its class. Its self-diagnostic capabilities, in addition to digital voltage regulation, assure stable, reliable power. Short power connections never a given when you're making pit stops on your travels, and especially when tailgating on the road. And hey, your RV is your home on wheels. Get every ounce out of it with reliable, quiet power from the Onan QG5500 by Cummins. You can save 10% on the QG5500 when you use the promo code TAILGATE, TAILG, then the numeral 8. Visit shop.cummins.com or rv.cummins.com to find a dealer near you. Welcome back into the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. 3:30 game, Florida State taking on Pitt. 2:30 pregame show. Jeff Cameron, Tom Lane getting you ready for this one. It's going to be a fun one, we think, but we don't know for sure. But maybe Matt Lasser does. He's probably watched more Pitt football than anybody in the state of Florida. There's a reason for that. Maybe we won't dive into that. But Matt dove into the Panthers to let us know what Florida State could expect on Saturday.
When you first look at this Pitt offense on paper, they went through a quarterback change. They're still 13 out of 14th in the ACC in passing efficiency. However, they actually have two very athletic wide receivers, and they're actually both in the top 25 in receiving yards in the ACC so far this season. You start off, you got their slot guy, Konata Mumpfield. He is 20th in the ACC in receiving yards with 399 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 33 receptions. And then you got Bub Means, who is 23rd in the ACC with 389 yards. He's normally out wide. The only problem is you have to look at this Florida State secondary, where they haven't given up a passing touchdown in their 3 games in the month of October. As for the rushing, Rodney Hammond and Sebo Flemster are not bad backs at all. I think it's just because of the fact that they don't really have a good offensive line to run behind right now. If you're Florida State, where you need to take advantage is this right side of the offensive line. Their right tackle, at least in pass blocking, is the worst out of their starting unit. So if you put Patrick Payton or Jared Verse lining up in front of him, it's going to be hard for him to handle that. They will likely have to double Verse in that situation just because of how good he is. As you look at this Pitt defense, they're 17th in the country in TFLs with 7 per game. They have the 47th best rush defense. With all that, if you're Florida State, you have to take advantage through the air. I think Florida State's receivers can win one-on-one matchups with these guys. This defensive line is pretty solid. That is the place where Pitt needs to take advantage to keep it close with Florida State, is in the trenches on defense. If they can get up and they can get a push on this Florida State offensive line, Jordan Travis will have to move around a little bit. Disadvantage for Pitt is Jordan Travis knows how to do that, and he's good at that. Overall, I think Florida State has a huge advantage here in a lot of the matchups.
Thanks to Matt for that insight into the Pitt Panther program. Turn to you now here, Tom. And listen, not forecasting, not trying to project anything, but no one ever sees these things coming. I don't know if the Oklahoma beat saw a Kansas upset last week, but what are the recipe or the ingredients that have to maybe happen for Pitt to make this a little too close for comfort for Florida State? Would it have to be Florida State possibly not being full strength on offense? Maybe their passing game sputters because of that, or would it have to be Pitt just playing above their head, best game of their careers almost seemingly on that side of their ball?
I think it's a little bit of everything, but I'll focus more on Pitt's offense playing over its head. Offensive football in general, you can get disjointed for a drive or two. There's a wide open dude on a 3rd and 4. He drops the ball. It's too far. 4th and 4 is too much, so you got to punt in that situation. Then there's a batted pass. Somebody was wide open, so second drive short circuit. So like for Florida State's offense or any offense, that can happen to you. But Florida State's defense has been so good against bad offenses the last month that for Pitt, in order to be in this game, they really have to succeed in a way that other teams have not. Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, and Wake Forest all were manhandled by this defense. 17 of these points in that stretch of time were either directly by special teams or short fields or defensive touchdown. So to me, I think the recipe for Pitt to stay in this game is to play over their heads. You're in it in the second quarter. Maybe it's not exactly a score fest at 7-7, but they start to believe, and then you see some kids make some plays that they normally would not. And that can happen to a top 5 team. Florida State for a long, long time was the big bad team in the ACC or in the country that everybody could make their career off of. They could make their NFL prospects out of. So I think that's what you would have to see, where Pitt's offense does something that Florida State's recent opponents have not, which is play over their head and successfully play over their head.
Pitt's defense played fairly well for a half against Notre Dame last week, Corey. I know it got away from them clearly, obviously. I guess some of that might be the fact that they know Sam Hartman, but Could this defense give Jordan Travis fits enough that maybe they find themselves pressing and that's how this thing could get away from Florida State's grasp? Or would it have to be Pitt just playing at a level that we have not seen from them, not only this season, but maybe in their collective careers, those players?
Well, that last part for sure. But look, man, Florida State's the best offense they've seen. I don't know if they faced anything quite close to this, but what Pitt has done a good job of this year, and they haven't done much on either side of the ball, really. That's why they're 2-6. They create negative plays. They are top 20 in the country in like tackle for loss yardage and sack yardage. I was looking at their box scores, and you would see like a team ran for 153 yards, but then they lost 47 yards. And I'm like, that's crazy. I don't know how they're sacking quarterbacks for 11-yard losses, but they are. Or they're just really good at tackles for loss. And I think they're going to try to pressure Florida State, which opens up, as you've seen throughout 8 games, a lot of big play potential down the field. And it helps that you have a mobile quarterback that can get out of harm's way if you don't block it up. But yeah, man, I think what the recipe that we're talking about here for Florida State to be in a game or potentially lose a game like this is pressure like that creates turnovers. If you give that's how they beat Louisville. They had a pick six when Louisville was going in to take the lead. They had another interception. They had a couple interceptions actually. And if you don't take care of the ball and you give this team hope, it can become hard because they are going to come after you. They're going to come after Jordan Travis. They are good on the defensive line and that front seven of creating negative plays, but they're also good at giving up a lot of plays and points too. They've shown that through 8 games so far. So, I think that's the one thing you worry about if you're the Florida State offense is staying away from negative plays, including turnovers, but not just limited to turnovers. You don't want to be 2nd and 16 all the time or 3rd and 14. That's how you keep this a game. Be ahead of the chains. Don't give up a bunch of tackles for loss.
Tom, feels like if Florida State can protect Jordan, it'll be a comfortable, relaxing Saturday for everybody involved on the Florida State side of things. And this is kind of around the time last year where Florida State turned it on and was able to really overwhelm outmatched teams. Maybe we saw some of that start last week against Wake. But this offensive line has been adequate, not outstanding. Corey mentioned the aggressiveness that Pitt plays with, the amount of TFLs they're able to get. Is this kind of maybe a pivot inflection point for this offensive line to take the next step? Is it the onus on them, maybe more than any segment, to start taking that step?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's what can put Florida State in a position where they could run the football successfully. Maybe not at a level like they did last year, but it's something that you got to prepare for. Like as of a couple of weeks ago, Florida State in the first 3 quarters, which is non-garbage time, was 56% pass and 44% run. The year before it was basically the other way, where they were run first. So this is a pass first offense. You get why they've got so many weapons through the air. And a lot of these plays may be run pass options, but you like your one-on-ones with Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell if you can get those situations. Makes perfect sense. But they haven't exactly been consistent at producing success on the ground in the running game. If you're talking about success rate on 1st and 2nd down, gaining 3-4 yards at a time, they haven't been great at that consistently. They've created chunk plays on the ground. But if they could start to do that against a front like Pitt, to what Corey's point was, where they're racking up dozens of yards in the negative column each week on the ground, if you can mitigate that and succeed against this front on the ground, I think maybe that can change things and create an offense that's even more balanced and more dangerous. We'll see if that happens. We also got to see what the 5-man rotation on the offensive line has been. It's been such a shuffle consistently. I wonder if they can start to settle into some roles for some guys here now that health is approaching, I would say, on their side at this point.
Don't you think it's also interesting, or at least something to watch, Tom, is that, Pitt, since Narduzzi's been there, I think you would characterize them as a tough team.
Oh, yeah.
A tough-minded team. Well, they quit last week against Notre Dame, and then their coach came out and said he doesn't have good enough players to win. That mindset on Saturday, it could go one or two ways, man. They could come out and want to prove to the world that they're better than what just happened last Saturday and prove their coach wrong, they're good enough, or they could lay down and let you run all over them. Like, literally, that's an option, too. I'm really fascinated to see how they handle this last week because, obviously they were insulted enough that Narduzzi thought he had to call a team meeting the very next day to apologize because he did say, I thought we were going to get good players. We didn't. Great, man. Now try to get your team to play hard for you. But they might. I mean, they're 20-year-olds. They're resilient. But there's also there's a chance there could be a little bit of a quick quotient in there that we're not even factoring in yet.
I think no matter which way they come out, whether it's spirited or not, if you do start fast on offense, I think that quick quotient goes way, way up at that point. So they might, it's a top 5 team, number 4 in the country in the college football playoff. They might summon that spirit and that effort. But if you can succeed early, and I don't think they want to play for that guy much longer, Corey.
Yeah.
All right, one thing left to do. We've broken down this game the best way that we possibly can. Now it's time to make picks. Probably all going to pick Florida State. But don't you want us to say it? You want to hear it, don't you? Stick around. That's coming up right after this on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. You can feel the security of having a global power leader in your own backyard when you're backed up by a Cummins home generator. For more than 100 years, Cummins has powered everything from heavy-duty trucks to trains and dependable power generation to hospitals, data centers, and stadiums around the world. Now you and your family can rely on that same expertise to get the latest in power technology with a Cummins home generator for your home. Be prepared for bad weather, rolling outages, ice storms, and more. And whether it's Wi-Fi or weeks worth of groceries in your fridge and freezer, stay powered up with a Cummins home generator. Visit homegenerators.cummins.com to utilize their home generator size calculator to find the ideal generator to power your home or to request an on-site assessment. And don't forget, you can save 10% off various models of portable power stations, portable generators, and RV generators at shop.cummins.com with the promo code TAILGATE, TAILG, numeral 8. Welcome back on into the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Tom Lang, Corey Clark, I'm Azon Hunjavandy, all here for you. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminoles sports, or subscribe to our website. All the good stuff's over there. The 3-2-1 from Irish O'Fell, Corey's post-game columns, Tom's observations from practice, Corey's as well, Ira's, Michael Langston, Matt Lasser, all the recruiting. It's all over at warchant.com. Come join us. Also, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel. 40,000 of you guys. How about that, Tom and Corey? 40,000 people out there subscribed.
Keep it going, baby. Keep eating. Keep eating. 40,000 is nuts. Can't wait for the next 40 to join.
Yeah. We got a bunch of people over at the website working, grinding, breaking things down. Let's get the rest of the picks from our staff. Gene Williams, Irish O'Fell, Jeff Cameron, and Matt Lasser.
It's November, and the Seminoles are 8-0. That has a really nice ring to it. They will look to remain undefeated at Pitt this weekend. Pitt has been awful, frankly. We thought they might be pretty good to start the season. They're 2-6. They just got blown out by Notre Dame 58-7. So looks like Florida State should roll in this one. It gives you a little concern that Pitt rose to the occasion in one game, upsetting Louisville. You wonder which Pitt team will show up. But look, I think Florida State totally outmatches Pitt in this game. I think this team is down a little bit. The concern is for me that Miami's next week. And you just played kind of an emotional game against Wake. I know Wake wasn't that good, but given recent history, you understand why the team was up and played well. I really think they're going to have a letdown in this game. Sure, they're going to win. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think people are going to be a little disappointed in this thing. But if Mike Norvell is able to get this team to go out and cover the spread, hats off to him and hats off to this team for being mentally strong. I'm going to be a little conservative on this one. I'm going to go Florida State 27, Pitt 17. I know that's not going to make people happy. But again, it's a win. You win by 10 points. You move on. You're 9-0. You take on Miami next week, which is probably going to be the biggest game of the season.
I don't think Pitt's as bad as they've been playing lately. Certainly not as bad as they looked last week against Notre Dame. But I also don't think it really matters. I think Florida State's a much better football team. Pitt's not very good offensively. They're not very good defensively. The game is at Pittsburgh. But I like Florida State to win convincingly. I think it'll be about 38-13. I'll take the Noles winning by 25 points again for the second week in a row and improving to 9-0 in the season.
But it is time to say, God, I feel like I'm doing the same score a lot. But these totals have been pretty similar, and I kind of feel like there's a range that Florida State's just always going to hit. I'm always going to go over 30 for Florida State right now. This Pitt team has struggled at quarterback. Give me 38, Florida State 38, Pitt 14. Let's just keep the ass kickings coming.
Like I said before, I think Florida State has a lot of advantages here when it comes to all the matchups there are. I feel like it's going to be a good day for Jaheim Bell. Maybe it's finally Destin Hill's day to shine. But I do think Florida State will win here. I'll go 42-27 14.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all for sitting here watching this. Appreciate it. It is the Warchant Report powered by Cummins. Shop.cummins.com is the website. Tailgate, Tailg, numeral 8. That's the promo code. Save 10% off numerous items over on the website, including portable power stations, portable generators, RV generators, and as we said earlier, the Onan RV generator maintenance kits, which have the Onamax oil, filters, spark plugs, everything you need to keep that thing humming and running. So if you don't have shore power and you're at the game, you got your TV, your AC, everything powered on and ready to go. Cummins, a power leader, shop.cummins.com. All right, 3:30, Pitt, Florida State, number 4, Florida State. The world's going to be watching because everybody's jockeying for position in this playoff poll, Tom, and everyone's going to want to see the upset. I don't know if any of us see the upset, but how do you see the game playing out on Saturday? I think Rutgers might upset Ohio State, but how do you see Saturday in Acrisure Stadium? Acrisure? I can't even pronounce the thing. I'll be there. I'll figure it out by then, though. But what do you see happening on Saturday, Tom?
Well, at Heinz Field, the place where Bane, I believe, Gotham City destroyed people, including that poor kid who sung the national anthem beautifully.
But Heinz Ward survived.
He
got
did.
that kick return for all the fantasy people that had Heinz Ward on their team.
What a big moment for Heinz Ward in his Hollywood career. I think we all know how this game's going to go based upon us talking about the Dark Knight Rises. But I think Florida State's offense comes to play early in this game. They're really hitting a different rhythm. I think this is starting to – it was already a really, really good football team. I'm starting to see that machine status out of what Florida State does. So I think today Saturday's game is going to be much like the others in terms of score. It might not be as interesting as some of the past 4 or 5 because Pitt's going to lay down. It's 41-7, Florida State. 41-7 is your final.
Oh, Corey.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little closer than that. I foresee Florida State having a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter, and then Fitzgerald having to make a kick to extend the lead to put it out of reach for sure. I do think Pitt will make a play or two. They are at home, and quite frankly, I know they're supposed to be above this. But we all know what's ahead next week for this football team. And you're playing a team that's 2-6 that just lost by 51 points. It would be human nature to maybe not come out completely focused. But I do think the offense is too good. I think Pitt's offense is not good enough, clearly not close. So I'm going to say 34-17. Noles don't cover, but it's a comfortable game that Fitzgerald finally puts out of reach with a field goal in the fourth quarter.
So a team that's going to quit is still going to cover.
I didn't say they were going to quit. I said I wanted to see if they're going to quit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It almost feels silly to not predict that this team is going to score 40 points every week now. But I'm not going to predict that. I don't think they're going to cover either. I think it's going to be a little bit touch and go, much like you said, Corey. I don't think they're going to quit. I think they're actually going to kind of rally around them. So what are we at? 21.5 right now? 35. Did you say 35-17 or 34-17?
I said 34-17. Are you going to Price is Right me?
38-20.
Oh, okay. The Duke score. I got you. Fair.
Got a little exotic. 38-20. All right. Those are our picks. Make your picks in the comment section below there. Go to warchant.com. If you're a member and you can play the over-under game, all the numbers set by Corey Clark and the Clark Sportsbook. Got to be a subscriber, though. You can win a $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold. Tune into the Jeff Cameron Show 1 to 3 o'clock throughout the week, getting you ready for the game. And then the pregame show with Jeff Cameron, Tom Lang, 2:30, getting you ready. And then the postgame show with Gene Williams and Tom Lang. You have a busy Saturday, huh, Tom? Busy Saturdays.
They're good days, especially when you're playing for 9-0. Now, if we were doing this and Florida State was 2-3 years ago, it'll be a rough one. This is a great assignment, though.
Kind of want to do this, Corey, like, when you're not in the press box, it feels weird. Maybe we can like zoom you in somehow or just have you kind of like on
in the press box. Yeah, man, do it. I'll just be in your ear. I'll be talking the whole time.
All right. Thanks everybody for helping out with the show. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all the good stuff that we've talked about throughout the program. Thanks to our good friends over at Cummins. Again, shop.cummins.com. Promo code is tailgate, saves 10% off numerous items on the website. For Tom Lang, Corey Clark, I'm Aslan Hunchavandy. Thank you for watching this edition of the Warchant Report powered by Cummins.